watch people who are thin when you eat.
That doesn't work either.
No, you're like, fuck this guy. This guy's an idiot. Or whatever.
You called me one time. I was watching a documentary on Disney Plus. There's a documentary about these athletes trying to break the 2-hour marathon.
Yeah.
And you called me, and I was out of breath. And you're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Dude, I'm watching this documentary about a marathon." And you're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I ran to the kitchen to get cookies." It's all inspired.
But a lot of people, that's their story. Good times, Noodle Salad.
Camera first.
Right. Sweet.
I was just telling you downstairs. I'm getting wild. You want a piece of that?
Ooh, I do, because I can't breathe right now. Let me get a little.
You gotta drink after.
Is this albuterol?
You gotta drink after. I don't know. You gotta drink
gotta
afterward.
Know what it is.
Because,
yeah, it's albuterol.
You gotta get it off your tongue, so you gotta drink something afterward. Yeah. Dude, I'm already hot. I gotta strip down.
Yeah, dude, wearing a hoodie up here is not ideal.
Yeah, no, but it's.
You know what's crazy is I have the heat. I've had the heater blocked this entire time.
Yeah.
It's just because you're wearing a hoodie.
I know, but now I gotta fucking.
You also live in a climate that's extremely cold. You like your place like 65 degrees, which is insane.
It's not that good. No, it's like 70 in my. We keep it at 70 in my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When I come over, I'm freezing.
I just don't.
Usually.
Do I look like a fat bitch in this shirt? It's like not. It's a 2X, but it's like a Canadian or not a Chinese 2X.
No, it looks fine. Looks fine.
Okay.
You want me to look at you through the GoPro and check?
No, it's okay.
I know, right now mine's like tucked under.
I know I'm fat, so
bulbousness is showing. I don't.
You
really
actually
care.
look fine, dude. When you came over for some kind of party or something, maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Must have been
a party.
Some kind of party like 6 months ago, and
okay.
I was like, "Damn, Chris looks big," but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
You were like back down to like your normal size now. So
yeah.
I don't know.
No, I did gain a bit of weight like 6 months ago. A few months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so did I. I was 230 pounds before I hurt my knee, you know, so I'm fucking super fat compared to what I was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So, dude, downstairs we were, I was showing you that my son Jamie gets in a bad mood, and I play this affirmation song by Snoop Dogg to snap him out of it.
Yeah.
He commits to his bad mood even if he doesn't actually feel that way anymore. He wants to be mad forever until people are like, "Come on, man." You know, so like the running joke that we've been doing is playing this affirmation song, and it's a call and response style song. So to be like, you know, my feelings matter. My feelings matter. So me and my 11-year-old son and my 7-year-old daughter will sing it at him and be like, Jamie's feelings matter. Jamie's feelings matter. Jamie's going to have an amazing day. Jamie's going to have an amazing day. And he just sits there and he tries to frown, but he's smiling and he's like,
That's cool.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I really didn't want to listen to it, and then I listened to it, and I did start laughing.
Yeah, you were like, no, fucking, no, like 10 seconds in, no, not listen to this. It's gonna mess up my mood. I'm like, what? It's a fucking affirmation song. It's positive.
Well, because it starts off with Snoop Dogg, and he's just like, affirmations make you feel good. And I was like, all right, man, no. Yeah. No, dude. But it's a funny song. It's an adorable song, actually.
He keeps getting made fun of for being like, for having done like the most side quests of any person on earth.
I know.
He's like, he's got like a wine company. He coaches football.
Yeah.
He fucking whatever. Now he's got this Doggy Land, like kids channel. I think it's on YouTube.
He likes
or
to
something.
work. What's wrong with that? You know.
Yeah.
Plus, he probably makes a ton of money.
Well,
doing
he was
anything.
also someone who was on trial for murder when we were kids. So the fact that he's done
Well-
all this shit since is pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Something just knocked. Was that me? Did I hit something?
I don't know. Maybe it was the chair.
Oh, maybe.
The chair might have been like,
Ow.
it hoits.
Oh. Dude, speaking of fucking being a fat ass, we got these ring, like cell phone ring light tripod things that
Yeah.
have like an adjustable arm or whatever. And we were talking about using them for the podcast somehow.
Yeah.
I was telling you, I was watching. So we were like, oh, we should use them for maybe we could use them for the podcast, get additional angles or whatever, maybe like record in portrait. And I'm like, no. Because I was watching 1,000-Pound Sisters on it. Like, I had it clamped to my end table. I was watching 1,000-Pound Sisters on it, and it just like, it kept like slowly like falling under the weight.
Under the weight of the 1,000-pound sisters. That's actually impressive for a camera tripod. It's impressive.
It's fucking.
We're not quite there, so I think we'd be okay.
Dude. She I'm on season 2.
Yeah.
And Tammy, who is the bigger one, Tammy's the bigger one.
Yeah.
She was like 550 pounds. And she was supposed to lose some weight to be able to have the surgery, the bariatric surgery.
Yeah.
And she gained, over like a couple of months, she gained up to like almost 600 pounds. And they were like, you keep gaining weight. We can't do the surgery. You got to lose weight. You know, basically, like, you got to show some kind of commitment to this change. And then she gets COVID and pneumonia at the same time. And she's, 600 pounds. So
right.
She survives COVID and pneumonia. She spends 2 weeks in the hospital, and then she's on oxygen in recovery, like trying to recover. And at one point in the show, she said she needed the oxygen before she had pneumonia and COVID. So now her lungs are super messed up.
Yeah.
And her brother Chris, who's like 10 years older than her, I think. He is 400-ish pounds, and he's like, all right, let's do this diet together, and then we'll do the bariatric surgery together. And so he comes over so that they can do like a virtual doctor's appointment with the bariatric surgeon, like a check-in after 3 months. They both had COVID, whatever. Mm-hmm. So he weighs in, and he was like, I think he was like 420 pounds or something at the heaviest. And so when he weighs in with the doctor, he's like 379.
Wow, that's incredible.
And so the doctor approves him for the surgery, basically, and then Tammy gets on the scale, and she weighs like 660 pounds.
Oh my god!
So she had gained 100 pounds in like a few months. It's wild. It's wild to see.
How do you gain that much weight in a few months?
Like that's a few months, 100 pounds, and she.
That's insane, dude.
And the family was kind of blaming it on this. She met a guy on this like BBW like dating app or page or something. So she like met a guy that's into big girls.
Yeah.
And she was dating this guy, so he was traveling to like come see her once in a while. Mm-hmm. And then like it all started to get exposed that she was like he was making like sheet pan sized meatloafs for her.
Oh,
and then like
so some kind of food fetish thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what like the brother like realizes, like you're a fetish to him. He doesn't love you because of like you. You're a fetish.
Yeah.
He's feeding you until you die, and he doesn't care. I wish
someone would fetish size me, I'm just kidding. I don't eat sheep hands.
Feed you until you're fucking 650 pounds or whatever.
I need someone to tell him to slap food out of my hands. That's what I need.
I always shit on shows like that. I was like, they're so dumb. Like, who was watching this garbage? Whatever. But this show is captivating. It's so good. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. Literally, we were. I just had Elias last night. Yeah. Me, Paige, and Elias. So we heat up a bunch of like leftover crap we had in the fridge for dinner, and Elias is like, so when it's just the three of us, we eat. And we'll watch TV and eat sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know why I coughed into the mic. I'm sorry. That was stupid. Keep continue.
You leaned back and loaded it up, and then went.
I'm sorry. That was unintentional. My brain wasn't firing.
That was you telling me to shut the.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, I promise you, it was not loaded. It would.
So whatever. So once in a while, when it's just me, Elias, and Paige, we'll watch TV when we eat, and so I put on 1,000 Pound Sisters, and Elias is like, "Come on."
I mean, I get it.
I do not want to watch this while I eat, and I'm like, "Sit down, it's fine. Like, relax."
It's so weird that you guys watch that while you guys eat.
I know. I'm like, I was literally eating. I was literally eating Reese's Pieces, going like, this bitch needs to get it together. Eating Reese's Pieces from the Dollar Tree.
Well, that's the problem. I see people, I feel like, and this is an ongoing thing where people will watch that, because you guys aren't the only ones. Everybody watches that shit when they eat. And I'm telling you, it's just going to make you want to eat more because you're like, oh, I'm not 600 pounds. Well, why am I complaining about my life? I don't think it's psychologically right. I think you need to like watch people who are thin when you eat.
That doesn't work either.
No, you're like, fuck this guy. This guy's an idiot. Or whatever.
You called me one time. I was watching a documentary on Disney Plus. There's a documentary about these athletes trying to break the 2-hour marathon.
Yeah.
And you called me, and I was out of breath. And you're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Dude, I'm watching this documentary about a marathon." And you're like, "Yeah," and I was like, I ran to the kitchen to get cookies. I was all inspired. I was all inspired. I ran the 8 feet from my couch to my pantry to get cookies.
Gross. Ugh.
Whatever. I'm not gonna run a marathon ever, probably. You know, so.
Why you like running?
I do, but I have destroyed knees.
I know, but.
27 miles. I run 3 miles a day. I can't run 27. I could probably run 27 miles, but it would fucking ruin the rest of my year.
Well, you'd have to prepare for it, you know. Probably have to drop. You know, if you dropped a little bit of weight, say you were a healthier weight. Not that you're like. By the way, you're a very not recently, but normally you're a very, very active guy. So like health wise, you're fine. You've gained a little bit of weight. That's okay. I mean, as someone who gains and loses 20, 30 pounds monthly, I mean, and I think sometimes you've done that too. Yeah, it's crazy how, first of all, it's crazy how small choices make a huge difference. And then dieting, like, takes longer, right? It takes a little bit longer to see results. But I know, like, for myself, like, I know for myself, when like this weekend was my birthday, or last weekend was our birthday weekend. Mm. And, you know, I had like Chinese food on, I don't know, Thursday or Friday. Then I had pizza. Like I had pizza twice over the weekend, or during the week I had pizza. And then on the weekend I had pizza, whatever. That's why I didn't eat pizza at Mom's house, because Mom had us together for our birthdays. And I'm like, I'm not hungry. Because I literally had too much pizza in the last couple weeks or whatever, week or so. So, but anyway, the point is that I saw a difference just over the weekend. Like by Sunday, you know what I mean? By Sunday this past weekend, I was like bloated. Shirts were tight, pants were tight, just from the weekend of like having a few drinks, having some pizza. Yeah. So it's crazy because I'm like, all right, well, I'm sticking to my veggies and like hummus and guacamole and just like healthy shit. That's it, you know? And honestly, like I've like deflated just in the last few days. Yeah. I'm like, all right, well, that's a telltale sign. Like if I just keep eating this way, I'll probably be, you know, it's going to be way easier to manage my weight.
I've been seeing this video. You know how TikTok and like whatever, these short videos or like video karaoke, people keep remaking the same. Someone will come up with a concept and then everybody like does it themselves.
Yeah, the
trending bullshit. Yeah,
whatever
right?
it is.
So one of the trends right now is making fun of people that slip on their diet and then just like throw in the towel and just like, all right, whatever. It's you know, like, oh, I ate so much for breakfast. I'll restart Monday. So like it'll be like someone drinking water and they splash a little bit on themselves and like they miss their mouth a little bit and they'll be like, I guess I should just, and they just like dump the whole water bottle on their face. Or like, there's like 100 different examples of that. Like, oh, I missed my coffee cup pouring my coffee, and then they pour the entire pot on the counter instead of like.
That stresses me out. I could not watch that. I'd be annoyed.
But the point is like, oh, you messed up a little bit, and like, oh, let's just fuck up completely because and that's like addictive. It's like that addiction mindset where it's like, oh, I slipped, so I guess I'll restart. Next month. Oh, I'm trying to maintain my sobriety. Oh, I got high today. Yeah. So I might as well just get high for the rest of the day, and then I'll start over on Monday or whatever.
So like I and this isn't like you got to just listen to yourself. Like, what can your body, like, when you eat something, like if I eat pizza, I feel like crap for 2 days. I know it's bad for me. Even if it's prepared in a healthier way, if it makes me feel like crap, it's probably not.
You know what pisses me off? You know what pisses me off is that all the things that I made fun of you for is now happening to me.
Yeah, receding hairline, you're morbidly obese.
Just kidding. You don't know how it is. Try being my size, Chris.
No,
but with the pizza thing, if I eat pizza, I get horrible acid. Yeah. And my hands get itchy.
Yeah, I get that too. Yeah.
And then
pizza,
if I eat
ice cream, anything dairy.
If I eat ice cream,
but it's not.
I'll wake myself up scratching in between my fingers.
See, this is a weird part.
Like to blood.
You know what I think it is I think it's the
body. It's trying to be skinny. It's like
body's like, hey, if I make him itchy, he'll move more to burn some calories.
What's funny is that I don't burn any calories. Fucking moving my jaw.
Right. So like, I don't know. I don't think it's lactose. I mean, it is. I'm definitely allergic to lactose to some degree, or have an intolerance, or whatever the saying is. But it's not just lactose, because like cheese doesn't have much lactose in it, if at all. And so it's probably some kind of protein that comes from dairy that we're allergic to. And it runs in the family because one of our nieces, or actually not nieces, cousins, I should say, one of our cousins has it so bad they can't eat dairy at all, no matter what it is. So actually a few of them. It runs in our family. It runs on mom's side for sure. Yeah. Because our one cousin, our younger cousins have it.
Is it that though? Because I can drink, like if I drink milk.
Yeah, you're not going to go into anaphylactic shock, but you're going to get itchy.
No, but if I drink, sometimes like I have anxiety issues, so sometimes I'll want coffee really bad, but I'm like, I got to minimize how much coffee I'm drinking. Yeah. So I'll make like a mostly milk drink with coffee in it.
Do you use lactose milk or no?
Regular milk. And I get no issues from that. And sometimes I'll do that like.
You get gassy, I bet.
No.
Really?
I get none of that.
See, I get gassy if I drink regular milk.
But with pizza, I get it. So I wonder if there's like
maybe it's some tomato sauce. Mom's allergic to. She still eats it, but when she was younger, she was severely allergic to almost anything that's naturally red. Yeah, but so she was like allergic to strawberries, allergic to tomatoes, allergic to. I don't know what's in them that. She's allergic to whatever
some kind
chemical.
Of protein that or whatever that's in there.
I don't know. Well, probably not protein. It's probably something, whatever makes something red. She was like, she's not as bad as she got older, she said, but when she was younger, like she couldn't eat anything that was red. Like she was just could not.
I have some weird food allergies, and I don't think that you have all the same ones I do.
Probably not.
So bananas make my mouth incredibly itchy. Almonds make my gums at my teeth itch really bad. Cilantro burns my tongue and my throat. Yeah, like to the point where I feel like I'm gonna. It's to the. I didn't. So Paige was doing these like meal delivery services for a while where you prepare it yourself, but like all the ingredients come in a box. And Paige was like, "Do you like cilantro or not? I know some people think it tastes like soap." And I was like, "You know what? I feel like I've always said I don't like cilantro, but I don't know." Yeah. So I took like a little pinch of cilantro and chewed on it, and instantly my mouth, my palate. My throat was all on fire. Yeah. I took a picture of my tongue to send to mom. Mom's a nurse. I took a picture of my tongue to send to mom. And my tongue in the middle, like, was purple. Whoa. And this was like, I chewed it, it burned, I spit it out, and I took the sprayer off the sink and sprayed my tongue and palate and mouth. Yeah. Like, trying to get whatever juice was in there out.
Yeah, so you're like allergic to shit.
Yeah, and I never really noticed it. I always kind of thought, I don't really like salsa because it always makes my mouth feel weird. And I thought maybe it was a spice thing.
You know, it does to me too, but I like that feeling. But maybe I am mildly
I
allergic
thought it was
to
a spice thing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just like I don't really like the feeling of like my mouth burning, but it's not
See, I
true
like
because
that.
I like
Yeah.
I like hot wings. I like spicy Thai food. I like
Right.
I eat sriracha on
Right.
like everything.
So it must be just so it is just these flavorings. It's just like herbs that you're allergic like that specifically.
Just cilantro is the only herb that gives me any problem. I eat
Interesting.
parsley, basil. I grow parsley and basil every summer. Mint.
Which is weird because I think cilantro is very similar to basil. It's almost in the same family. I wonder what's in cilantro that's, could be toxic.
Whatever
or
it is,
whatever.
I'm
It's just
allergic to it.
Yeah, wild.
You know, to the point
See,
now
now
that
I wonder
if I get a Chipotle bowl and they put there's cilantro in the rice, I can't eat it because it'll make my mouth burn, and then I start getting nervous about it.
Right. Yeah. The anxiety doesn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for sure. But and then I also have like hay fever.
Mm-hmm.
So I get hay fever every year, like bad, eyes watering, nose dripping, mouth itchy, ears like fucking gooing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's horrible. And then I'm severely allergic to cats.
Yeah.
Severely. Like I go into someone's house that the previous owner had cats, I'll start sneezing and get miserable.
Right.
So
I had 2 cats that I just rehomed, and I'll be honest with you, I'm definitely allergic to them. I was sick as hell the entire year that I had them. I was sick every day for that entire year. And then I moved in here, rehomed them, found a really nice home for them to go to. Lady was super nice, really nice family. And then, like, I haven't had them in a month or something, and I feel amazing. I feel great.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping good. I still sneeze and get, like, sick here and there, but, like, it's a different sick. Like, before, it's like if my nose would be swollen, my eyes would be, like, almost swollen shut. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, I'm definitely allergic to cats.
I think there was
not as bad as
combination.
you, though. Not as bad as you.
No, our grandma had a cat.
Yeah, like I can still cuddle a cat and not die.
No, dude. Our grandma had a cat. Is that your furnace?
Yeah, that's wild.
So loud.
That's crazy. What?
Should we shut it off?
Oh, is there another? All right.
God, I'm out of breath. Nothing happened, guys. I had to climb 12 stairs.
Yeah, you gotta get that cardio up or something, dude.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm fine.
I've been hitting the gym again.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good. I don't know what we were talking about. I was trying to hold that memory, and I have no idea.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. I was trying to think of it. As soon as you left, my brain shut off. I was like, I literally said, I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so I've been hitting the gym again, and I feel good, and I'm not going crazy. I used to like weightlift like crazy and lift a ton of weight. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm getting too old for that shit, and I can't afford the grocery budget to be bodybuilding. I can't. It's even when you're working out 3 hours a day, it's you want to eat so much food, and I like the fact that I can just snack a little bit. I don't even eat meals anymore. I eat like cut up a pepper and dip it in some guacamole, and like that's my lunch or breakfast. Like that's the way I'm eating now, and I fucking love it. It's so cheap. I don't even eat in eating that way. I don't even want to buy shit, like occasionally I'm like, all right, man, a McDonald's burger sounds really good, but it's like once a month now or whatever. Aside from the birthday weekend, that was a little frivolous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like pizza, Chinese food. And then I think it was like Saturday or Sunday. Well, Saturday was the birthday party, right? So it had been Sunday. I was just sitting there and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to eat anything today. Like I had like some ice cream. I had pizza. I had some drinks that, whatever night I came over. Oh, what day was it that I came
So you're
over?
trying to fucking recover by fasting after eating.
No, well,
like
yeah,
shit.
sort of. I'm not really fasting because if I get hungry enough, I'll snack on something, right? I'll have a couple like tortilla chips and some salsa and guac,
Does this smell like mold? Smell that.
I don't want to put my nose in your coffee.
Just don't exhale.
No, it smells like coffee. By the way, coffee is naturally moldy. by nature. Just an FYI. So if you have mold allergies, you probably shouldn't be drinking coffee because coffee contains a few different molds that to certain people can be actually deadly. So does peanut butter. Fun fact. I actually stopped eating peanut butter, and I think that I'm not allergic to peanuts, but when I eat peanut butter, and I like in excess, like if I have like a couple tablespoons or something or a few tablespoons of it, I definitely feel weird.
Is that because a few tablespoons is like 700 calories?
I don't know. I've eaten a lot of things. I've eaten cake, and I feel fine.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a piece of cake's probably like 800 calories.
Yeah. Dude, nut butters are one of those things that feel like you're doing a good thing when you're dieting, and it's not. It's like you might as well eat a candy bar.
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I think fats are not bad for you.
Calorie-wise.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to maintain
really
your calorie deficit,
yeah. See,
and you eat a piece of peanut butter bread.
Right.
It's like you just ate
But the thing is that
400 calories in peanut butter.
But they're 400. It's 400 calories of satiating calories. I think so.
That's not more satiating than 400 calories of berries or vegetables or meat. Maybe
well,
meat.
that's because vegetables. You could eat 2 pounds of vegetables and it would probably maybe be 400 calories.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is like the new school of thought is that carbs are not necessarily bad. Proteins are not necessarily bad. I think you can't blame somebody, but what it really is the how calorically dense your food is. It's something Mike Israetel talks about is if you're looking to get into a calorie deficit, you need to look at the density of the calories you're eating.
Right.
Because you can eat a handful of almonds and that's 1,000 calories, or you could eat an entire mountain of broccoli.
Yeah.
With like a 0-calorie seasoning to make it palatable.
I mean, he's not wrong, but like also it also depends on your lifestyle. Like in his lifestyle, he's probably he's eating rice and he's eating high calorie foods because he has to. That's the weird thing about it too, is that like just having a little bit more activity levels and how different it makes what your standard diet should be is crazy. I mean, not that he has little activity levels, but I'm just saying like you lift weights a couple hours every day. Okay, that's something, but I don't know. It's weird how drastically, like for someone like me who's, I'm going back to the gym, so it doesn't, but that doesn't count. Like someone who's kind of like goes to the gym, likes to lift weights, his job can be active, but it's not active all the time. I even think a 2,000 calorie diet's kind of ridiculous some days because I'm like, there's days where I'll eat like some broccoli, some guacamole, maybe like a couple chips or something like to dip in my salsa or something, and like that's my meal, and then I'll go to work and work all night, and I don't get hungry till like midnight, and then I have like basically lunch at midnight, and it might be just like sometimes I do snack, and I'll get like a Slim Jim, which like big whoop if you're not eating shit, like having one little this makes me feel happy, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I could just eat that and like an entire day and feel perfectly fine, come home, go right to bed, not hungry at all. But I think it's the veggies, man. It makes a huge difference. I never thought it did. And I love veggies. I don't like cooked veggies as much as I like raw veggies. So I've been buying raw veggies, and I don't like cooked veggies because they're just like, I think they're good, but they don't have the same.
I don't feel the same.
I don't feel full.
Cooked.
That's what I mean. I don't feel full when I eat cooked. When I eat cooked veggies, think about it. You could have a Philly steak sub and then be like, I could eat 3 of these right now. Yeah. But, if you eat, I don't know, 600-800 calories of broccoli and guacamole, dude, first of all, you're not gonna. And if you do, you're going to be full for a day.
I remember us having this conversation probably 5 years ago, talking about this same exact idea. Yeah. Where I remember you were actually disagreeing with this idea back then, because you were like, no, dude, you can definitely get fat eating healthy foods. And I was like, yeah, but most people don't get fat eating healthy foods. Most people get fat because they eat super calorically dense foods. And I was on some program that was based on this idea. Yeah. Which was like raisins or grapes, like which one should you eat kind of thing. It's like, obviously eat the grapes because there's a lot of water in there, calorically less dense. Yeah. The nutrients are more bioavailable than something that's cooked, Right. And and then we started laughing about this because we were like, You said, I remember you saying something like,
Well,
dude, there was, there's no way I could eat whatever, make up a number. I could eat 500 calories in broccoli, like no problem. And then we looked it up, and like raw broccoli, you'd have to eat a fucking mountain of it.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, dude, no, okay, hold on.
Yeah,
There's something here.
You would be in extreme gastrointestinal distress if you ate the amount of broccoli that, a steak would, calorically compare to.
A Snickers.
A Snickers bar, a steak, whatever.
I mean,
But,
steak's definitely more calorically dense, but it's different energy source,
Yeah, somewhat.
So
there's no carbs, there's no carbohydrates. Honestly, I think fat is really good for you. I've been honestly, my diet's mostly I'll be honest with you, my diet right now is all carbs and fat and extremely low protein, and I feel great. I feel amazing.
Low protein?
Low protein. I don't eat a lot of protein.
Why are you doing low protein?
It's not purposeful. It's just that when I start eating a lot of snacking on veggies and stuff, I mean, it's whatever protein sources that come from and I'm not a vegetarian. I love meat. I mean, when I get a craving for meat, I'll eat steaks. I'll eat whatever. But when I'm snacking, I don't eat meat and I don't eat high protein foods. I just eat like veggies, because they're filling and they make me feel good and they're hydrating. You know what I mean? So I don't have to drink 10 bottles of water because I'm on some kind of protein carnivore diet, So, that's the only problem because I've done all these different diets, and I would say the best I've ever felt is a low protein diet. And now when I start if you start weightlifting a lot, you have to eat a lot more protein, but it backs me up. It makes me, I don't know, makes me either go a lot or it makes me hardly ever go. And then my, bowel movements are not fun. And, I don't know. It distresses my body. So I like to eat a more vegetarian-based diet now. And I've done this in the past and got really into it, and I felt my best when I was strictly a vegetarian, but I like meat. So, and not only that, I don't feel bad when I eat meat. I don't. It's just there's a level of protein. My body doesn't handle a ton of protein, and it makes sense too because my body also creates a lot of other problems from eating a ton of protein. And it actually runs in our family, and specifically on Dad's side. I don't have gout, but I'm prone to gout, and I get like the pre-symptom, arthritic type symptoms when I eat a high protein diet that can lead up to gout. When I eat a high protein diet, I noticed that in the past. I've noticed gastrointestinal distress, huge problem. I used to think it was the vegetables I was eating. So I stopped eating veggies entirely, went strictly carnivore. But then I thought back to when I was like doing a vegetarian diet, and I was like, I never had these problems. It is a combination of the two. Mm-hmm. There's something about eating a high protein diet, but also throwing a lot of veggies in there just to like be satiating, because like, yeah, you're satiated eating meat, but like it's tough. It's tough. Your energy sources are kind of drained. I know. And then when I was like strictly carnivore, also you get this insane hype after doing it for a couple months or something. You get this insane amount of energy when your like body's used to being in, I guess, ketosis or whatever it's called. And it's great, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't feel right. I don't like it. It feels aggressive. It feels, I don't know. I didn't like the way I felt with that. It's a weird, like, you almost become this predatory, not in a creepy way. Predatory in like an animal kingdom way. Like where you're like, I want meat now. Like you get, like that's your only focus is like, I need to eat meat. And like, you know what I mean? It's a little like,
what?
There's like this, in my opinion, there's a weird psychological thing that happened to me doing that. That's not, I was way more aggressive. I know my testosterone levels were like through the roof, and not like, I wasn't aggressive. I was more of who I am, and who I am is a little bit of a nut job, and I was more of a nut job than I ever was. So I was like everything, like I was very demanding. I was very like,
all from your diet.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I think.
I mean, I guess I could see it.
I think it hormonally changed me to where like there was imbalances in a way that I didn't like. Because I think there's a lot of like, by the way, like some, I like Mike Israel is a good example of this. He talks about that entirely. He's like, people are so worried about having these insane hormonal imbalances, but then they'll tell you to have these diets where like for sure it's going to change your hormones, and like which will be an imbalance to like a normal, slightly imbalanced to like what your homeostasis, is that the right word, would be. And I feel that way in the carnivore. Like, when I eat too much meat, for sure, for too long, for sure, I get weird. Not in a bad way. It's just annoying. I get annoying because like who I am is tenfold. It's like the trolling, the talking shit, the
Why would your diet do that to you?
I just think it's a hormonal. There's no like checks and balances on how you feel. You know what I mean? Internally, I think like I don't know, like it's kind of like people who go on. It's just I think my testosterone was a lot higher, and it made me much more disagreeable, and which meant that whatever I said was right, no matter what you said. You know what I mean? Having like and I think that's true. I think it's true. It felt really real, and it wasn't like I'm saying this all in hindsight. I think at the time I wasn't really realizing it, but I noticed I had a lot of issues with like people I worked with. I had issues like with friends and stuff because I was very like I became like I'm an aggressive person by nature. Like I'm kind of this is really silly, but I feel very akin to like a gorilla. I feel akin to a gorilla, like a silverback gorilla. I'm like, if I'm by myself, just chilling. No, I mean honestly, no, I feel akin to the gorillas. I'm a fan of the simians, but I feel akin to gorillas only because when you see them by themselves experiencing nature, they're the most peaceful creatures on planet Earth. But then like you get a couple of them together, and get them kind of like then it's all games. They troll each other, they're aggressive, but then they're not out to kill each other, but like you step up to them, they'll be like, oh yeah, like that's them, and that's me in a nutshell. You step up to me, dude, I'm not gonna be scared until I have to be, but like also I'm gonna troll the shit out of you
because you were eating a steak. You're like, oh.
No, I'm saying my natural self is that, and then
You're a weird person.
Increasing,
you're just fucking odd.
When you increase testosterone levels, I mean that's one way to look at it. When you increase testosterone levels, it makes you more of who you are. Robert Sapolsky has an entire book written about this. Robert Sapolsky has an entire book about this.
About testosterone levels?
Yeah. I forgot the name of the book. I'll remember it later. Maybe we can put it in the description. But it's a good book. But yes, he talks about this specifically. It might be. I think that is actually
the book I'm reading.
That might be it. But the first chapter is all about
first chapter is about how incredible hands are.
No, maybe that's not the same book then. It's not the same book. I'll have to look. I'll look in my Audible. And
Sapiens?
I'll
No, that's not. That's.
I don't want to guess. It's just we'll talk about it later. I don't remember. But he has an entire chapter where he says that. He says testosterone does not make you aggressive. It brings out the aggression that you naturally have. You might already be an angry, aggressive, or demanding, or overly confident person. You couple that with high testosterone levels. Well, now you're just boosting that. Like you have, it's like an RPG game, right? Like you have these attributes to your character. Like your charm goes up maybe if you have high testosterone, if you're a charming person to begin with. That's kind of what it is, right? So I noticed that when I had a super high carnivore diet, there's flaws in my personality that are like, I don't even care that this sucks for you. You know what I mean? I don't care. I become completely like selfish. And so I didn't like it. Long story short, I didn't care for it. And yes, diet has a lot to do with that. Having a more balanced diet that kind of sets internal biochemical boundaries, to like your own behavior and cognitive functions, I think is important, and then in some parts of, having the diet that I do have is you do tend to get brain fog if you aren't eating regularly, and because you're more satiated because you have a super high fiber diet, you don't eat as regularly. So, I mean, there's tricks to all of it, I don't think it's weird. I don't think there's anything weird about what I was saying. But, you know, I guess to each their own.
You just said that you're akin to a gorilla.
Oh, no, definitely.
That's fucking weird.
No. I feel connected to them. I do. I have this weird, like when I go to the zoo, when I go to the Detroit Zoo.
You want to climb in there?
I want to. I want to be like, I'm one of you guys. Honestly. I have this photo of a gorilla smelling a flower that I took at this Detroit Zoo. And every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, I can't believe first of all, I can't believe I took that. I've ever seen that in person. It was a weird day. I want to talk about this because this is cool. It was a weird day. Every time you go to the zoo, it's bullshit. And you're like, I mean, like, it's cheap. So you're like, I don't care.
It's not cheap.
It's not anymore?
No.
Was it like $30?
30?
How much is it to get in?
If I go there with my kids and
Yeah.
fiance, minimum we're spending $200 that day.
Okay. So it's not cheap. For me, I don't feel like it's expensive because I don't have kids. I'm usually paying for myself. So
yeah,
whatever that costs. It's not cheap. I agree with that, but it's also not unbearable, and it's still an enjoyable experience, even if it sucks that day. However, this one day I went, and everything was out. Dude, the red pandas were out. Like it was like, oh my God, I've never in 30 years of going to the zoo, I've never seen every animal. Not only that, but they were out and playing. The wolverines were running in circles and playing with each other. The red pandas were out. The wolves were out. Every animal was out. And, you know, the gorillas were just at peace. Like, they were just chilling. And there was this one gorilla that was standing by this, like, you know, man-made little cliffy looking thing, right, in between the two of them. And it's kind of like on a 45, so it just opens up. It was just a great shot to begin with. So I pulled out my camera. I'm like, I'm going to take a picture of this. This is just a cool shot alone. He picks up, like, probably a weed flower, you know, like you know, the flowering of a weed, because it wasn't a flower, right? It wasn't like a beautiful rose or something, right? That's ridiculous. But he picks up this thing and he smells it, and I have a picture of him smelling this flower with his ass out, right? Like, cause he's like he's on a reverse 45, so like he's holding it with his right hand, and he's like, and that's just his ass, dude. It's such a good photo. It's my favorite thing of all time. But I love gorillas. I love chimps too, but chimps are way more social, like in weird ways. Like they're always like taking care of each other, sort of, and then fighting, and then taking care of each other, and then fighting, and it's like they're a little too like
women.
Yes, yeah. They're very maternal, to put it nicely. Gorillas, on the other hand, are, like I said, they're like, if they have this, like, these personalities that are kind of like loners, but they're not. Like, they're not loners, but they act like they are. Like, they're like, I'm too cool to be around you guys. And then when they are around each other, they just talk shit and you know, pretend to fight each other. But then if it rains outside, they tiptoe and shit. You know what I mean? Like, they're fucking cool creatures, man. It's weird to see, like, it's just weird to see any other animal acting almost more human than humans sometimes. You know what I mean? And not that even makes sense, but having more character and personality than like you or I. So we walk in the ring, we're like, oh, this sucks. You know, they walk in the ring, they're like, oh. You see it on their face, they get this like, oh. You know, and then they're tiptoeing, and you're like, calm down, dude. Like, you guys have been around longer than we have, okay? Suck it up, dude. You know, like, I don't know, animals make me laugh, dude. I love animals a lot. I do. Specifically, I do like primates a lot because there's so many similarities. You know, it's because I think they're so reactive, you know what I mean, to what's going on around them, that it's like really fun to watch, and it's really fun to experience. That day also, though, I went to the bear pit or whatever it is, whatever they call it. And the bears were playing. Like, the bear had a giant, like, heavy duty, like, what looked like a beach ball, but I'm sure it's weighted, right? So, like, and he was in the water. By the way, I didn't realize how tall bears are, like, when they stood up. Like, I mean, I had an idea, but seeing it in person is frightening. But he's in the water, and he's standing in the water, right? And he's got this ball, and he's throwing it on the cliff and then catching it. And I was like, this is crazy. I was like, this is like a cartoon. Like, what happened? Did I walk into an alternate universe? Like, this bear's literally playing with a ball like a cartoon would, you know? And it was just awesome. It was just so cool. And then he gets kind of tired of it, and he just like huffs and puffs, and then he like gets out of the water, and then like he like stands up and like kind of looks. I think the ball got stuck up there. That's what it was. He gets out of the water and he stands up, and I think he grabbed it. And I'm like, dude, that's like, it had to have been like, with his reach, he was easily reaching 10-ish feet right? Maybe. I don't know if that's accurate, but it seemed like it. And just watching that, I'm like, that would, dude, one swipe of that giant paw that's the size of a truck tire. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, there's videos.
Like, holy crap.
There's videos of bears doing insane shit. Like I saw a video of a bear. It swiped down on a moose and broke the moose's back and killed it.
Wow.
And a moose is
giant,
the size of a pickup truck.
Right, yeah. 10 foot tall.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. They're the scariest things.
Yeah.
I mean, God, a moose is terrifying.
Yeah,
you
moose,
see them like I've never seen a moose in person, but I've seen videos of them just like slowly walking.
Yeah.
And they just like
Giants.
they have such an imposing. This is such a dumb comparison. Do you remember the snowy scene from Star Wars where there's like that gigantic
thing that the guys inside?
That's it's walking so slow, but it's an imposing character. Right, it's so huge. Yeah. That's what I think of every time I see a moose. Yeah. Because I probably saw that before I ever saw a moose video. But yeah, it's such an imposing character. And then to see it just a grizzly just boom and break and just kill it. Yeah. With a swipe. It's insane. It's terrifying, dude. Right. Terrifying. I don't think people understand anymore what nature is. When I talk to people who haven't spent any time in the woods, and then they have these harsh opinions about hunters, or they have these harsh opinions about like, okay, so like 10 years ago there was a vote in Michigan to create a wolf hunting season. Yeah. They reintroduced wolves. Mm-hmm. And then the wolves were causing problems in the upper part of the Lower Peninsula. Yeah.
Which is a big deal. Wolves are not...
They were killing livestock. Yeah. They were killing household pets.
They probably kill people.
I don't know if anybody got killed by them. Yeah. But they were like wreaking havoc on these small farms. Yeah. And there was a vote to control the population of these wolves, and it got completely shut down by people in Metro Detroit, which it shouldn't even been voted on by people in Metro Detroit because people in Metro Detroit don't know what it is.
Yeah. When you've got, first of all, they don't know how expensive it is to maintain and have livestock to begin with. Right. I mean, I've got a friend who has just chickens, right? And he's talking about like he wanted to expand his farm, and he's like, I don't know if I can. It's so expensive. I don't even know how farmers do it, to be honest with you. You have to be a millionaire to start a farm. You know, kind of.
Start one, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, until you start making money off it. But I'm just saying, like,
even then,
it's probably
most
tough.
of the. I would say most farmers are surviving on
their own
grant.
Yeah.
No, grant money. They're surviving on grant money from the state or from the federal government.
Think about that, but you're probably right.
That's why there's fucking hundreds of miles of corn being grown. Right. You know, there's, dude, a great example of this where you can see how chaotic it can get, even though it's England and not here, is watching Clarkston's Farm. Have you ever watched Clarkston's Farm?
I don't even know what that is.
Jeremy Clarkston, who was like the funny, the big, goofy, funny guy from Top Gear, the British Top Gear, like the main guy, I guess you could say. He bought a farm like 15 years ago and kept the guy who was running the farm on as an employee, and that guy decided to retire. So the premise of the show is Jeremy Clarkston's done with Top Gear or whatever, or Grand Tour or whatever he was doing. He's like, okay, I want to learn how to run my own farm. So since this guy's retiring, I'm just going to jump in and I'm just going to do it. Yeah. And so it's him figuring out how to run a farm. And it's like it's hilarious because it's a guy who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So he's just messing shit up all over the place. I mean, there's a scene where it takes him like 6 hours to unload a semi truck of fertilizer and seed. Like it took him like 6 hours to do it, which like any farmhand it might have took like an hour. Right? Yeah. And like, or anyone that drives the telehandler often. Yeah. Anyway, he runs into so much red tape that in the first year, after spending like $750,000 to like run the farm, he profited 150 pounds.
Holy
for
cow.
A year.
That's
of
insane.
Work. Between because he ended up bringing like an apprentice kid back who
Yeah.
was working for the old guy.
Wow.
He brought this apprentice kid back and was like, "Hey, I need your help. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, basically."
Right.
And now the kid had been farming his whole life, so it was like, "Hey, I need you to show me what to do." So he kind of runs the farm.
Yeah.
And then he tries to. I mean, they go through so many different ventures trying to find something that's profitable for their farm, and it's just like he has like X amount of acres or hectares. That they call them. I don't know what that. I think that's bigger than an acre. I'd have to Google it. But anyway, they have a certain amount of land that the government pays him not to farm because it's natural flowers, natural grasslands.
Yeah.
So they pay him not to farm it so that bugs basically can thrive there.
Right.
And then so they're planting rapeseed for oil, like rapeseed they crush for oil to make cooking oil. And then
vegetable oil.
And then they plant some kind of wheat, durum wheat. They plant durum wheat for pasta, and they're just making no money on this. And he tries to plant. He has a creek running through his property, so he tries to plant wasabi, and like wasabi actually makes him some money, but he can't sell it anywhere. Like he's going. He has the kid drive to London and that's the first time the kid's ever been outside of his hometown to sell it, and he just can't get anybody to buy it. Like he's going to these high-end restaurants that Jeremy has connections with, and like no one wants to buy it.
Weird.
And it's
Does
just
they not do sushi there or something?
I think it was about quality, or like maybe there was some kind of protocol that you're supposed to follow. I don't know. There was some kind of red tape.
Okay.
Or it was like a quality thing, like, well, this is supposed to look like this and it doesn't, so that's a lower spice or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's he's an artist. He's a creative type. So he's just trying to think of all these different ways the farm could be profitable. He starts like a farm shop, but then Chipping Norton, I think is the name of the town.
Yeah.
They have these rules where all of the things sold in this town has to be produced within a 10-mile radius or something. So they had some like branded t-shirts that were probably printed in China, and they're like, shut your farm shop down. You got to get rid of these shirts. And it's like, motherfucker, like I can't even, and then like, oh, shut your farm down. You're trying to sell, and his wife's Irish. So she's real like disagreeable.
Yeah. So
she's like, fuck them, like whatever, forget their policies. I'm gonna sell this jelly or whatever random product, and an inspector comes by and sees it and shuts him down again. It's like, we can't do. And then he tries to open up a restaurant, and he's like, if I open up a restaurant on my property, then I could use products from like this cow farmer that's local, and I could use my durum wheat for my pasta, and I could use the rapeseed, and we could use all these local products and have a restaurant based on all these local products, and they shut him down for that. They didn't want to allow him to make a parking lot on his own property. So people were parking for miles down the street, blocking traffic, and somebody like an ambulance couldn't get through because of the traffic of people trying to go to his store. And then so they put up construction cones for miles in both directions on both sides of the road that say no parking. The city does, to stop him from having customers. It's insane. The amount of it's like you watch this show, you get infuriated. You're like, why are they like, it's like they're colluding against him. Like they don't want him to be successful. He builds this farm. He builds this farm shop, a nice farm shop. It costs him like $250,000 to build this farm shop. Yeah. And they put a nice metal roof on it, and they're like, that you're not allowed to have a metal roof. It has to be this type for beautification. For beautification, you have to keep this style roof. So he has to rip a brand new roof that's going to last forever off of his brand new building, and then put in a less efficient like stone slate fucking roof, because there's regulations about what kind of roof you're allowed to have on your own property there. It's insane. Yeah. And now that much shit would not happen in the U.S., but I bet a lot of it would.
I'm sure there's a lot. Yeah, there's probably a lot of problems. Probably not as many. Because you can just have a shop at your farm, and I'm sure there's stipulations and stuff and whatever you got to do. But I think the regulation and these, I'll be honest, I think like the farmland areas are more sticklers on like the questionable stuff more than like owning a shop at your farm. You know?
What kind of questionable
Like
stuff?
people growing, weed and stuff like that. They're definitely like they'll
Well, yeah.
they'll like cut your power. They'll like make sure you don't get no water. They'll do. I know a guy who owns some property and he was trying to do that. And it was encased, like it was enclosed in like a barn or something, and they still didn't give a shit. They're like,
Fellow farmers were doing this, or the township?
the
was doing
township,
it?
the
Oh.
township would like cut his power. The township, they would like cut his power, and then he'd complain like, hey, like I'm whatever, and they're like, even though it's legal and there's no way that they'll find any way to make your life miserable till you sell the property.
Dude, the bureaucrats is like some of the shit that people deal with is
the
insane.
politics in small towns is scary.
You ever see that documentary
Scary.
about that small business owner that like ends up buying a bulldozer and welds like a frame on it to just fucking tear the town up because of all the bullshit he dealt with?
No, that sounds awesome.
It's called Killdozer.
Oh my god, this is a documentary.
Yeah,
There's a documentary about some dude who's just destroying a town
because of how much shit the town put him through.
Yeah.
They did. I mean, there was all kinds. I don't remember. I watched this years ago, but like now, this guy's kind of been become like a cultural icon for like 20-year-olds who are like, "Fuck the man,"
Oh, yeah.
But this guy, dude, it was just nonstop little bullshit that he had to deal with, and like shutting down his business.
Yeah.
He built a shop for his company, and he needed to tie into the main drain for his plumbing in the building. And because the drain was going to cross his neighbor's property by like a couple of feet, they wouldn't allow him to do it. So they made him run it like 400 feet the other way instead of like 50 feet this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's just like a million of those things.
Yeah.
So this guy fucking bought a bulldozer. I'm destroying this story. There's so much to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he bought a bulldozer.
It's weird. I don't know anything about.
And he spends like, it might be a year.
Yeah.
Welding a tank frame and armor and shit onto this bulldozer. And he fucking he finally snaps, climbs inside of it, bolts it shut so they can't get him out. And he just goes through the town fucking destroying the town. Knocks down businesses, knocks down like municipal buildings, destroys cars, runs through traffic lights, like just destroys this fucking town.
Holy
and then
cow.
when he finally gets stuck in a building and the cops are trying to get to him, he fucking blows his head off inside the bulldozer.
Jesus.
It's insane.
Oh my god.
It's like, dude, push a man too far. You take a reasonable guy who was just trying to have a business and a life, and you fucking
people
made him snap.
Yeah.
But-
And then he looks like a bad guy, and it's like, well, if you only knew, I think that's
If you only knew all the shit he went through, you would.
He's
And
just
that's why
trying
the
to be-
documentary is important.
trying to
'cause it's
earn
like-
an honest living, trying to be an honest guy,
and the
then
bureaucrats
do
made it
things the
hard
right
for
way.
him
Yeah.
because I don't know, I think he like kind of made enemies with a local other businessman.
Yeah.
And I think that, if I'm remembering right, I think that's what spearheaded
I don't.
the entire thing, where the other guy's connections worked at the town, and the town was like, so the person that worked at the town was able to cause all kinds of fucking problems for him.
Yeah, I would have just moved out of town. I would have just moved.
That's the reasonable thing.
Would have been
but when you're-
cheaper than
maybe, but if you have an established,
I mean, that cost him his life, right?
I guess, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely not a reasonable thing to do. But
Yeah.
I think the reason that story became so popular is like people kind of fantasize about doing that. Not that exactly. It's a fucking
That's
wild thing to
extreme,
do.
Yeah.
But like people
They
do
fantasize
fantasize
getting
about
back. They want
getting back
vengeance.
at
They want
people.
justice. Justice, and you can't have. I mean, the thing is, it's hard to have justice when you make enemies. Even if you're right, it's just tough. It's
Yeah.
tough in any situation, and I think specifically in actual politics and actual bureaucracies.
Yeah,
It's
it's
hard to say.
hard for me to say too.
It's hard. I think when you make enemies on that level, these people are just these are the people calling the shots, and these people can control.
There's just
everything.
nothing you can do.
You're screwed. Yeah, that's why I would never want to be in politics. I would never want to be. I don't know how people do it. To be honest with you, it almost makes you knowing this kind of stuff should make us a little bit more. I don't know, a little bit more understanding when it comes to politics in general. Is that it is a dangerous game for those people. Those people are playing with fire 24/7.
Yeah.
Those people and their family and generations to come's lives could be decimated.
Dude, I don't understand people that want to get into that. I don't understand, dude. Like, I've talked to people. Like, I have a few friends that are cops, and I have a bunch of friends that have been in the system for some reason or another. Yeah. DUIs, whatever, bar fights, blah blah blah. Right? When I talk to these people, and I hear some of the stories of like how something shook out, and I'm like, why the fuck would someone go to law school and want to be a prosecutor and then be a super aggressive one? And then you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're fucking with people's lives, which, like, the majority of the people that are going to go through that system deserve it, right? But down to brass tacks, you are fucking with their lives because they did something that the people have decided is not okay. Yeah. But you're doing it to a dangerous person potentially. Right. And this person knows your first and last name, and how hard is it to figure out everything about anybody anymore? Right. Yeah. I mean, my God.
Yeah, it's a weird world we live in, man.
I was talking to a guy, and he was like, they don't understand. They don't understand that I was so angry. Like, he got in a fight, and long story short, he got in a fight with another man. It was a mutual combat. He got arrested. He lost his wife, his kids. Like, the custody battle pivoted on this arrest, right? And they completely pivoted on this arrest. And it led to him losing his kids, losing his house. He basically lost everything he was fighting for in his divorce. And it's like, they don't understand how crazy you can make somebody. Yeah. Like, I just lost everything because of this asshole trying to make an example out of me for getting in a fight at a bar. Like, yeah, I shouldn't have gotten in the fight, but does that mean I should lose everything I've ever had? Right. He's like, I know where his kids go to school. Right. It took me 5 minutes. Yeah. He's like, they don't understand what, and this is fucking crazy to do. It's fucking crazy to be like, I'm going to look this motherfucker up. I'm going to find his personal Facebook. I didn't find him, but I found his wife's Facebook. His wife just posted, kid's first day. Right. Now I know what school your kids go to. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, like, that's a fucking scary job to have, man. I wouldn't want to be in that position. Right. Because you can't be empathetic. You can't be sympathetic to people who have made bad choices and caused problems in the society. But you're also putting yourself in the position.
I mean, even aside from that, think about how many people during COVID, even just famous people, doctors, got death threats and stuff. You know what I mean? Dude, yeah. Specifically famous ones, right? I mean, even a non-famous one that says some shit that you don't agree with because of your not only political affiliations, but whatever's pulled at your heartstrings, right? They say something, and it's like, this is... Because then now you're thinking, well, they're wrong, and it's not good for the benefit of mankind in that situation, right? So then you've now justified anything that you or any other crazy person decides to do. Dude. That's a switch that can flip so quick, and then you're like, well, I get why it would. I get it. Yeah. I get it from both sides. It's crazy, dude. That's dangerous, man. But that's also a telltale sign of how terribly, our politicians and government officials and doctors handled the COVID situation. It's way less about the shots and the illness and the problems and the healthcare. It's more about how they handled the psychological aspects of it, because
they damaged people.
They could have caused mass genocide over it. They could have caused mass hysteria over it, which they kind of did.
They did cause mass hysteria.
I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
They caused a mass loss.
It was very close. I mean,
massive damage to the middle class. Yeah. I mean, they killed the middle class.
Yeah.
They killed the middle class, especially small business owners. Yeah. They destroyed the middle class for essentially what's a bad cold. Did it kill people? Yeah, it killed people. But the flu kills 500,000 people every year, and no one is shutting down businesses because it's flu season. Right. It's insane Dude, filling up, I don't remember if we talked about this already, but filling up skate parks with sand.
I don't remember this. Yeah.
In California.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I know.
As soon as you say that, it's like
in California, goes.
You could say they burned down the entire state.
It wouldn't even surprise me.
Because of whatever.
Yeah. For COVID.
They just made all the elites and all the Hollywood people live in bunkers and then burn. Well, now we're talking about we get the fires.
Yeah.
Now we're like, oh, now I'm putting things together. Well, maybe that's
maybe
what's going on.
Maybe you're onto something.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in California during COVID, they did not want people outside, which everybody knows by now that there was essentially 0 transmissions outside.
Right.
So they had workers fill these skate parks with sand.
Yeah.
With thousands of pounds of sand to prevent skateboarders and BMX riders and scooters fucking riding the skate park. Right. It's like, you're not going to allow people to have a life. They can't go to work. Yeah. They can't go to school. They can't go outside. Yeah. What are you doing? I mean, the damage to people. I was talking to my buddy about this at school. I thought we talked about it. That's why I was remembering this conversation. Okay. I was talking to my buddy about it, and he said he knows people who have dogs that don't act like regular dogs because they were COVID dogs. Mm-hmm. And I said, what do you mean by that? Like, and he's like, you think about it, you get a dog, mm-hmm. that dog is going to see 20 people-ish mm-hmm. that come in and out of your house all year round. Mm-hmm. Your friends come over, your mom comes over, your grandkids come over, whatever the situation is, right? Yeah. 20 people or so come in and out of your house, and that dog gets socialized with those people. Yeah. He's like, he has a buddy whose dog was purchased during COVID, like say in 2020, and now it's 2025, and that dog cannot handle people being at the house. Yeah. Because he didn't see anybody for fucking 3 years. Right. Nobody came to the house. Yeah. So the dog was the dog didn't go to the beach. It didn't go to the dog park. It didn't go for walks. It literally lived in that house and lived in the backyard, and that's it. Right. So now when people come over, it can't handle it. Right. It freaks out. It thinks, who the hell is here? Yeah. What is this person doing here? They have to like take the dog and hide it. Put it in the basement or whatever. Like, oh, people are coming over. Yeah, you got to put fucking so-and-so's dog. You know, we got to put Sadie in the basement. Yeah. Sadie can't handle anybody. Right. Can't handle the mailman. Right. That's wild. Yeah. I've got 3 kids that lived through COVID, and my youngest, not really affected by it. He was basically a baby. Mm-hmm. But my oldest, he's 12 years, he's going to be 12 years old. When I was 12 years old, mom had to call my friends' moms to figure out where the fuck I was at mm-hmm. to tell me to come home. Right. Yeah. My oldest, he doesn't have neighborhood friends. He doesn't hang out. He has friends. He has a lot of friends. A popular kid. Very sociable kid. Has all the same interests of it as every 12-year-old right now. He loves Roblox. He loves football. He loves soccer. Yeah. He's not an awkward kid by any means. But he doesn't hang out with anybody at all. Yeah. I try to get him to. I don't know. Like I forced him to go for a walk one time. I was like, go. I see your buddy who always rides his bike around the neighborhood. Get your ass outside and go talk to him. Yeah. Oh. And then he walked to the end of the block and called me and was like, can I come home now? I'm like, no.
Go walk, explore, man.
Go fucking get lost.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, we live in weird times, dude. I couldn't imagine. I tell you what, if and when I do have kids, they are going to be on the streets. They're going to be out there enjoying life. They're going to be at parks. They're going to be at nature centers. I don't know if I'll ever have kids. I don't know if I want kids in this day and age. It's too scary.
Everyone says that. It's not scary.
It's too scary, man. Everybody's coming down on everyone for how having traditional values. Well, that's probably going to change now. It seems like
the pendulum's swinging.
It's swinging hard, quick too. Yeah. I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of stuff on, just from my feeds that I'm like, whoa, didn't expect that to happen. Yeah. It's wild. We'll see, man. Hopefully it doesn't.
I feel like the pendulum's swinging back hard because.
I hope it's not too hard because then you develop an even more deeply ingrained counterculture to it, and then that turns culty, and then it turns like into.
Well, but we have to. It has to be framed in. When you look at like what happened over the last 10 years, yeah, we fostered this culture of acceptance, yeah, and like radical acceptance of everything, because you don't want anybody to feel left out. You don't want people to feel like they're on the margins of society. Yeah, everybody's got to be accepted. That means everybody's got to accept everything. But it happened because of the culture that we came out of, which was a culture of ignorance and intolerance. And so like you have this culture of like, I mean, when we were kids, I mean, think about the shit that we said to each other just because it was such common language that it was funny to call each other those things.
Yeah. I still think it's funny.
It can be, but it was complete commonplace to be like, oh, you're a fucking fag, you're gay, you're retarded. And, and like, I feel like, you know, those things still can be funny, I guess. Yeah. But that was the actual norm. Like behind, like when you said, no, I mean like not even our generation used those words ironically. It was funny to like call your friend a homo. Yeah. You know, but like
even if
but
you were
the guys
like,
but the guys that were influencing us as kids who were adults. Yeah. Were not using those words ironically. They were like legitimately against
the people that were so by the way, more recently, like the people that are very I don't know, liberal, but like not just liberal, but like also very like, you know, we don't say those kinds of words. Yeah, you get them in the right fucking, you know what I mean? You give them a reason to say it. And I've noticed that with everybody, and I'm like, come on. The problem is they're just words, and yes, using them overly and that being part of common language.
Sure,
is insane,
yeah, they're right. They're just words, but
saying,
I'm not talking about the words though. Your forest trees situation. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that 20 years ago there was a culture of ironic ignorance that was based out of actual ignorance. And the reaction to ironic ignorance was radical acceptance. Yeah. And out of that radical acceptance, you had a culture of everything goes. Yeah. And everyone's accepted and everything's fine. And it's like, dude, this has gone too far. Yeah. Now you have people pushing back going like, dude, you are not going to arrest me for using the wrong gender. Yeah. Right. You're not good. The compelled speech is unacceptable. You're not going to tell me what I have to say. You're not like,
yeah, it's weird.
And then the last administration got into office and like, dude, I'm a union pipe fitter. Like it would be shooting myself in the foot to vote conservatively. It would be voting against my own interests. But yeah. This last administration, merit went completely to the wayside, and it was all about identity. It was all identity politics. You are who you are. My identity is who I am as a person, and then all of a sudden you have these people who are not qualified for jobs.
Unless you have a right-wing identity, and then you were an enemy to everybody.
No, dude, liberals are enemies with themselves because you can never be liberal enough.
That's true too. Yeah.
You can mean so you have. Merit went out the window. Yeah. And now you have people who are hired based on identity who don't have qualifications for these jobs.
That was a big problem.
And now look
especially
at
in the
dude,
house.
Look at what happened.
Right.
Do you think Russia would have invaded Ukraine under a conservative leadership? Fucking no. Biden is weak.
Yeah. Well, that's the only reason he did it.
Biden is weak, and then you look at his administration. It's like, who is qualified here? Yeah. Like, my God. Yeah. No. Shit has completely hit the fan.
Yeah. I think
California
hopefully
is completely on fire.
Hopefully, it has opened up people's eyes to. It's not even about political affiliation anymore. It's about real shit. This is about real life. You saw what the soft end of the spectrum looks like. You know, you thought, oh, well, you know, he's kind and he's this, and the administration's kind and they care about people and they're accepting. It's like, yeah, you can accept a lot of shit, but there's a lot of shit that nobody would accept.
I don't want kind leaders.
No,
I don't want kind leadership. No. Do I want someone who's an ass who like makes people feel not marginalized?
Yeah. Well,
I don't want that. I don't want that either.
Nobody wants that either. Yeah.
But this pendulum had to swing back.
It had to swing somehow.
I don't want people to feel marginalized. I don't want people to feel like they're the enemy because of a certain administration, dude. But also, the pendulum had to swing back.
Do you think that this is actually circling back to what we were talking about also about how people can go in any of these kinds of fields or, you know, things, political fields? You know, I wonder if that's the reason that's why we got what we got, is because it's like, who really is going to choose this path? And
people that would be
through.
good at these jobs don't want these jobs.
Yeah. And so you're not going to get someone good, because someone that would be fair and honest and kind when they had to be, and crazy when they had to be, like, people that fit into that aren't mentally stable enough to choose a life of absolute fear. You have to be fearless and crazy to be in that.
There's a stereotype.
Position.
Take it down to the micro level.
Yeah.
In my world, I'm a pipe fitter. There's a stereotype. You don't want a foreman who wants to be a foreman.
Right.
You want somebody who's tortured by the idea of being a foreman.
Right.
Because that foreman's going to be a fucking excellent foreman.
Yeah.
A guy who has a good work ethic, who doesn't want to be your boss.
Yeah.
That guy's going to fucking kill it as a foreman.
Yeah, he's going to be relatable.
Relatable.
No,
he's going to be good
man.
at his job. The guys who want to be foreman have this. The guys who need to be foreman are these guys that want to work less, think less, and have everybody else do it, so they can like sit on golf carts or sit in trucks and drive around and then throw people under the bus to keep their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those people are the majority of people who want to be in politics.
I would say most people,
the same kind of people that
most
are
people
in
that get into management positions also, it's just like politics. You shouldn't be in there that long. There should be a rotation or a direction that you go, because I think I've seen it firsthand. Dude's been in this position 10 years and like was a rock star employee, became a boss, hated being a boss for 5 years, hated it, but was excellent at it. And then as soon as they get content and complacent with the work life, and they're now the delegator, and they've finally come to terms with that and they're happy with it.
That's when shit starts going sour.
Goes downhill quick.
Yeah, dude, it's the same. It's the same thing in my world. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking about.
Thinking about my doorbell when you're gonna ring. I'm only doing this because you do this to me.
I know. Thinking about my doorbell ringing, gonna ring it, and when you're gonna ring it. I have some like cognitive dissonance about this, because part of me wants to say there should be no lifelong politicians, but also if you spent your whole life training for politics, you're gonna understand it better than like I don't know. I feel like if there was some gatekeeping
in businesses as you move up in a company, and I don't mean to cut you off, but hold your thought, because I think I got to get this out before I forget. Even in businesses, right? As you become more complacent, like you know everything, you're the go-to guy, but you become complacent and you lose that work ethic. You lose your ability to actually manage properly. You end up becoming you end up moving up in the company to some degree, but you end up on maybe the end place board of directors until you're completely useless, and then they get rid of you because it's like, all right, it doesn't matter what you know anymore because we're just tired of your shit. You know what I mean? So my point is like, why don't we have that in politics where it's like, cool, you were a lawyer, you were a businessman, whatever. You became a governor, then you became a senator, and then you became a president, right? Dude, put all these people on and they probably are. We just don't really know the details.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say, I think they probably
develop
are.
a board of directors, and that's where you sit. You get a salary every year to just because you know the ins and outs.
Well, that's what Congress became.
Right.
Is where the retirees go.
Yeah, but that's a little different because those guys are not dealt. They're not talking through the shots. They're I don't know. See, I don't know because I think the balance is there's something wrong with the balance because there's too many shots being called that and by the way, we gave up these rights long time ago, right? I don't know if it was the Patriot Act or whatever it was, but it just seemed like every 10 years we're just giving up every bit of choices that we had when it came to the overall delegation of the country. I mean, we have very little control. We're voting on stupid shit. We're voting on weed. That's what we're voting on. Yeah. We used to vote on real shit. Now we're voting on, hey man, this is fine. It doesn't hurt anybody. Let's make it legal. That's what we're worried about. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And no one wants to vote.
Well, weed being illegal in the first place was crazy.
No, for sure.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
It needed to be voted on. My point is that those were those are the hot topics.
Yeah.
Whether or not the average guy can go and get high because he feel, whatever, for whatever reason. Like, that's
there's
crazy
always something. There's always something that's I don't want to say distracting you from something bigger, but there's always something that's in the forefront, and then you find out about something that maybe you would have been more interested in hindsight.
Yeah. Well, that's I think that's probably all engineered.
It might be.
Yeah.
But also, people are stupid.
That's true too.
I seriously, I don't. There's so many stereotypes about like, oh, the man. This is all figured out. This is all engineered. It's like, dude, the government isn't some looming presence. The government is people, and people are fucking dumb.
Yeah.
So I just don't like. Whenever I hear a conspiracy, I'm just like, I don't want to give it any time. I don't believe that it's a real concern. Mm-hmm. I don't like what has directly affected me that was a conspiracy. Like fucking nothing. Like look at the Epstein thing.
Yeah. Like
this is like the biggest. This is the biggest news of our time, other than like 9/11.
Yeah, he had some underage massage, like, and that became nonstop talked about. That's what
I'm saying.
An island with people were getting massages and maybe, I'm sure, other shit.
Well, they were definitely fucking kids there.
I mean, yeah, it's insane and it's heinous, but like, cool. Let's deal with it.
This is what I'm saying.
But this is what the majority is talking about.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the biggest the biggest conspiracy of our time that has any validity. No one will stop talking about it. Mm-hmm. And you're going to tell me that gigantic things are kept secret? This is big, and it's everything that we know is out there, except for things that were like the fucking list that needs to be released. And it probably will be with this new administration, hopefully. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that you have people who believe conspiracy theories like you could confide in hundreds of people to conspire and have it be successful, and no one says anything. Mm-hmm. There's no fucking way.
Right.
There's no way. There's definitely been black flag operations. There's people have conspired. People have done shady shit, for sure. That stuff's real. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, the gigantic ones that people like fucking. Basically, to boil down my point, the Epstein thing started to happen. Everyone kind of heard about it, like, quickly.
Yeah.
And then everything that came out as it happened was public immediately.
Yeah.
The only thing that hasn't been was the list of people, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that the government is some looming thing that has this fucking power, and we have to fear it and think that they're conspiring against the people for more power. They are in some sense, but also, like, dude, go outside. The birds are fucking chirping. Your neighbor's cutting his lawn. Everything's fine.
Not a big, yeah. I mean, it is what it is, and it's, I mean,
some comedian had a bit about that. Probably Hicks or Carlin, but someone had a bit about that where it's like, if you turn on the news, or maybe it was Sam Kinison, doesn't matter. You turn on the news and it's fire and brimstone and kids are dying and people are dying and terrorists are fucking doing this, and the world's falling apart.
Yeah.
And then you go outside and it's just like your neighbor's, hey, cutting his lawn.
Right.
And birds are chirping and it's sunny out and kids are playing and fucking, and it's like, why are you can choose what you consume. I guess this goes back to like what you choose to do for a living, and like I would never want to be a fucking prosecutor.
Yeah.
But you can also choose what you consume, and if people, we know people that are depressive types that like thrive on this fucking negative bullshit that they consume, and it's like, you don't have to put on fucking CNN and bum yourself out at 5 a.m. every day before work, and then bitch about the thing that you saw on CNN at 5 a.m. at work, and then you go home and you read about that shit because that's what you stop and click on Facebook when you're scrolling through your phone, and then you're like, why am I bummed out? Why am I depressed? Why am I? Oh, it's like negative current events. Mm-hmm. People get off on them. That's their football. Instead of them fucking following the Lions, they're following deaths of children in fucking Gaza. Dude, if this was 500 years ago, we wouldn't know what Gaza Strip is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you'd have to travel.
The average person might have read about it in a book.
Right.
But no one would see fucking GoPro footage of some fucking 12-year-old with his legs blown off. Like,
right. And then now everybody's trying, and then, and so then you're also consuming, and then everything you're consuming is bias-based. You're never going to consume something that's unbiased. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And it makes me laugh because when you read something or like there's like that expression in journalism where it's like, oh, this is an opinion piece. It's like, dude, there's nothing that's ever been written by a journalist that hasn't been one.
It can't be.
It can't be.
It's impossible. Every thought goes through the filter of your mind.
Maybe that's what we need AI to do, to write real media, to write real descriptions of what's going on. That would be cool. But then that's also being
Where's it
input.
pulling the information
It's
from?
It's not, and it won't happen. But
you can't. It's impossible to be unbiased.
Yeah,
it's impossible because everything that is.
And I'll be honest, I think that's the biggest problem with
is biased.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest problem with like the conservative, political not affiliation. I'm sorry, the administration is that this whole idea of fake news is just to me ironic. No matter who says it. No matter who says it. What do you mean fake news? Like,
dude,
everything
people forget where that started.
Yeah.
People forget where and why that started. Everyone wants to because there's taglines that are attributed to Trump.
Yeah.
That have become like jokes on one side and like mantras on the other.
Right.
But the thing is, when you in 2015,
yeah, if
you opened up Facebook, half of what was posted was literal lies.
Yeah, 100%.
You'd click on it, it would be like you would click on a website that looks like Fox News, there's Fox logos.
Yeah.
It'll say like Fox 17 or whatever. And it looks real. You click on it, you read a completely fabricated story. Yeah. That's where the fake news thing started because Trump started saying that's fake news.
Yeah.
And that's why this is what's so funny about the fucking left. I never would have thought I would point at the left and not feel like a member of the left because I've been socially liberal my entire life.
You have, yeah.
The left will simultaneously point at Trump and say, "Ooh, fake news. Fuck you, guy. You're such a piece of shit." But then they'll expect Meta to fucking fact check on their website. It's like, pick a lane, bitch. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Calling something fake news and literally, and then go, "Oh, look, I fact checked Trump. Yeah. I used Snopes to fact check Trump." Yeah. You know what he was pointing out is that things needed to be fact checked. What the fuck? Pick a lane, dude.
Right.
Pick a fucking lane.
Yeah.
The reason the fake news tagline started is because there was so much fake bullshit out there. Dude, your aunt who's 65 years old on Facebook doesn't understand bullshit fabricated stories. So she's sharing like things that are akin to the Onion articles, but she doesn't realize that they're not satire. They're just lies for clicks.
Right.
Did you know AOC had a kid handcuffed in her basement for 6 months? Right. No, you fucking idiot. It's a clickbait article that's fabricated.
Here's a recent one that I was like, what the hell? They had a video of Michelle Obama. I don't know if she's speaking at something, right? And she was talking about, birth control and women's rights and stuff. That was the whole purpose of the speech, right? And one of the things she said was that fertilization thing that they're using for, it's now being used for transgendered people. But she made a comment that she had to use it to become fertile, and so everybody's like, "Yeah, Michael, okay, I'm like, first of all, it's not true, but say it was true. Who gives a shit? Like, this is why, it's crazy. It's like, why? But it doesn't matter. I don't think it's true. But I'm just saying, like, it's ridiculous that this is our sister probably used it to try to get, you know what I mean? Or whoever, right? Like,
be able to have kids.
Yeah, to try to have kids. Like, everybody uses this, whatever it is. And the whole point is to have some funding to provide these things for people who can't have kids on their own without some kind of medical,
intervention.
Yes. And it's just wild how people twist. They just get something crazy in their heads and they twist it to that direction every time.
There's some trolls who it's fun to say someone's
It's funny. It's funny. It's really funny.
But the problem is that there's some fucking morons who are fully convinced.
That's what, yeah.
Dude, they killed their pool boy. They murdered their pool boy because she's a guy. What? The fuck are you talking about? This guy drowned or something? They murdered him because he saw her dick. And it's like, what do you guys are so fucking and then this is the problem with things being written down. Hold on. Let me this is the the problem with things being written down is that for some reason the human mind thinks that means it has some kind of authority. So when you read something, it makes you think it's completely real. It's it's fact checked, it's accurate, it is Bible, it is fucking gospel, it's truth. Yeah. Which is funny that I'm even saying those things as like they are the ultimate truth. Yeah. Do you know what the biggest selling books were? Like when books
Oh wait, there's got to be a time period. What time period are you talking about?
When printing press, huge amount of books being sold, literacy spreading through.
Like you're talking 18 or whatever.
Western countries. Yeah. The biggest selling books were books about witches. Yeah. Fucking books about witches were the biggest selling books. Dude.
Yeah. The biggest. By the way, the people still have that. I want to talk about this. This is can I segue right now?
Segue.
Dude.
Oh shit. Ride that, Paul Blart.
Dude.
Sorry.
Speaking of that, people still have that superstition about witches and stuff, and it's insane.
Do they sell soap?
So I want to go into this, and I think this is important.
And or
okay. Calm down. So I have a 5-pointed star tattooed on my chest. Okay. I got it when I was really young. And
you don't need to put it on sale. It looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
Whatever. You're like, well, I was young when I did it. Stop. Own it.
No.
Show camera.
I'm just saying the whole. Okay, so I have a pentagram on my chest.
It's fucking sweet.
It's sweet, but people don't know why I got it. First of all, I got it it was honestly, I was like 19, 20. And that's the only reason I'm bringing it up is it was kind of a drunken dare. Because I was like, in that time, I was pretty atheist. I feel like I lean more Christian now just because I like
I want to talk about that.
No. Yeah. Okay.
I thought about that on the drive here because I was listening. I don't want to derail you, but to get in a good mood, I listen to Christmas music the whole way here.
I love Christmas music. I love Christmas.
It's fucking. It's February. Yeah. I was listening to Christmas. I love Christmas. I was listening to Josh Groban on the way here.
Oh, Josh Groban did the new stuff did this year?
I haven't listened to anything new,
dude.
I listened to.
Okay, anyway, I don't want to do it. Yeah, okay. No. The newer stuff he's doing it with like R&B singers, and it's like jazzy.
Okay, we'll have to circle back to that.
Yes,
Land, you're playing with your all right, fucking pentagram.
So I got a pentagram tattoo when I was like 19, 20, whatever it was, and ironically, my ex did it. She was a tattoo artist at the time, but I was relatively atheist. But I was someone who studied religion. I love religion. I used to. I don't care about it as much now. But when I was younger, I studied Egyptology. I studied the origins of Christianity. I studied like the origins of every belief. I studied like all the myths and all that stuff. I was so into that stuff because I thought it was so cool. And it also is so deeply ingrained in history and so linked to everything that's happened in history. And I was obsessed with it. Well, I also during that time, I got super into, it led up to reading about certain occult affiliations and different groups and stuff like that, which ironically, and
that's where you get into the Aleister Crowley shit.
Aleister Crowley and I don't know names. I know the guy who created Wicca. They're all from the same group, which was like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which is why Aleister Crowley created the Thelemic Order of the Golden Dawn. I want to get into this because people think it's evil. They're like, occult is evil. It's all evil. It's all talking to demons and spirits, and it can be, but if you believe in that shit, it can be.
Keep going. Don't get distracted.
Yes, it can be, but what it really, the irony is that all of these occult beliefs, 90% of them come from a group, which is the Hermetic Order, which was based in Christian principles. It was mostly, not all, it was either, I'll say this, Abrahamic religions, because it was Jewish elitists, it was Christian elitists, mostly Christian elitists, by the way, stemming from Europe, that were wealthy and had nothing better to do than to travel the world and learn about religions. That's what the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was. They wanted to know what everyone believes and where their religion stems from. So as naturally as someone who's in their early, late teens, early 20s, who's studying religions, I find this, I'm like, oh my God, this is like in the 1800s. This was an entire, and probably previous, I don't know timeline. So forgive me for people who, no one listening is going to know anything about this, but anybody who may, forgive me for not being accurate. But so these are all Christians and Jews and whatever, right? And some mystics and shit, like, right? You know, the whole point was about Aleister Crowley and those other people, by the way, was the son of someone in this previous group, right? And then naturally was brought into this group. Same with the guy who started Wicca and all these other beliefs. They're all Christian-based beliefs. This is what's hilarious. The ones that are not are things that are like more like that are based in the Kabbalah or like more like Jewish mysticism shit or Islamic mysticism. Yeah, those aren't based. Those are pagan, developments into a modern, what they call modern pagan or neo-paganism, right? So it's like, okay, so I want to just clear the air that what you believe is evil has stemmed from beliefs of the cult versions of your main religions that you believe in. So it's ironic that everyone thinks this is devil worship. And the 5-pointed star, by the way, in the 15th century was the 5 wounds of Christ. The reason it was adopted into Wicca is because it is the only symbol, one of the few symbols, the swastika being another one, which obviously you're not going to get that tattooed on you. That's crazy. But the swastika, the pentagram, specifically the pentagram is more meaningful because it was actually invented by the Greeks, ancient Greeks, because it was to represent the golden ratio. They developed a symbol that was mathematically proportional to the golden ratio. And that's why the pentagram was created. But it was also previously founded in China to represent for mathematical reasons too.
How is a pentagram related to pi? I don't understand.
You'd have to look it up. I don't remember. Okay. But actually, it's funny in Fantasia. You know the Disney movie Fantasia? They show this. They show the Greeks creating the pentagram using the mathematics. There's a scene in there. But anyway, it's true. It's real history. And that's real. As the Greeks were developing mathematics, they started creating symbols. Well, then, of course, people down the road start considering these symbols to be evil. The reason it was adopted by Wicca is because you got to think of where the guy the people that initiated modern day, what's considered witchcraft, whatever. It's just words. They're just words. They don't have the same bearing and meaning as they did thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago.
This religion hates itself.
Yeah.
To try to justify to people who hate versions of their own belief system.
Yeah.
It's just like a losing battle.
No.
You look at the Catholic. Someone. I know, but like the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Hated Luther. Hated Martin Luther because he made the Bible. Made it available to laymen.
Yeah.
Instead of priests who were trained how to read Latin.
Yeah.
He translated it so that everyone could read it and everyone could know the word of God, and he was hated for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
dude,
it's something that's not only like the same belief.
I don't want to lose. Okay. I want to. You're right, and you're right. But my point is that the superstition has to die, because this is crazy. The Vatican is loaded with pentagrams. People think, because the Vatican. So now the Vatican's evil. People start seeing it. They haven't seen it for 1,000 years. Now all of a sudden they're seeing it. Going, they've got witches symbols in there. No. First of all, to them that represents the 5 wounds of Christ. It represents. There's a handful of other things that I can't recall, but there's. It means a lot. Symbols are representations. It's an easy way to fit like a biblical story into a picture.
Yeah.
It's an easy way to put and that's kind of why they adopted the pentagram. And they're not the only ones, right? There's many other people who have adopted
everything. Everything adopts symbolism because it's
And so it's all, there's also a lot of crazy things
cross.
like
I mean,
the cross.
People
yeah.
wearing a cross. What about that story makes you want to wear a cross?
Right. Also, and then people being upset by it, like thinking that, well, oh, if my house is haunted, the crosses are going to invert because, that's the devil. No. The inverted cross was initially created, which, by the way, you'll see inverted crosses also in the Vatican. And the reason you see those is not because they're Satan worshipers, which, by the way, the idea of Satan is really just a psychological manifestation of one's own self-control and self-indulgence. Mm-hmm. Hello. How have we become so dumb?
Yeah.
That we're going to sit here and create monsters out of our own Yeah. Everything we believe now is the monster under the bed. We're insane.
The entire book is a compilation of books that are metaphors.
Inverted cross. Sorry, was it St. Peter that asked to be crucified upside down because he did not want to be crucified in the same way as Jesus Christ? That's where that comes from. I think it's St. Peter. I could be wrong. I'm not a as someone who studied a lot of religions, Christianity, I was a Christian. I didn't want to study my own, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was raised Christian. I'm a Christian now. I don't care about I like the stories and I like where they come from and I like the scholars' interpretations. I don't want to get balls deep into it because I don't even want to get balls deep into any religion anymore. Yeah. I'm over it. But, in the irony is here I have those thoughts and I don't consider myself an atheist now. So I think it's just about being logical, like be understanding and be like, understand that superstition's crazy. It's crazy. Like even it kind of weirds me out because I as someone who lives alone, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, sometimes you get weirded out and you're like, oh man, I wonder if like I feel something's I feel uncomfortable right now. You're just uncomfortable, dude. Yeah. You're just high energy and you're not using that energy and your brain's going, what the yeah. we gotta figure this out.
Well, that and we both have obsessive tendencies. So when there's something that sparks in us,
we like get obsessed.
Then almost, it's like I need to control this situation. How do I gain back control? And then you panic trying to figure it out. Yeah. It's just a brain. It's an anxious version of OCD.
Yeah.
Castlevania.
Good segue. Excellent segue, my friend.
This is, I mean. You're talking.
I gotta watch this, by the way. Yeah.
This is. So I'm not gonna tell you much about it.
Yeah.
But the season that I'm watching.
Yeah.
Is basically the church is colluding with vampires to try to create a better future, but they don't. But they're kind of not realizing that the vampires are using them to take back control of the entire planet.
Interesting.
And there's a small group of powerful witches and magicians and assassins that are trying to fight against that and reveal the truth to them. It's so fucking good. It's so akin to what you're talking about with the Aleister Crowley shit and the order.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Because this is 1700s France and America.
Yeah.
So it's literally that time period.
Yeah.
It's fucking, dude, it's excellent. Yeah. It's this is the there's 2 series. I haven't watched the first series. Mm-hmm. So this is Castlevania Nocturne.
Okay.
Which is like whatever, probably French for nocturnal.
Yes, it is.
But dude, incredible. It's so fucking good. It's an anime, so it's like super exciting when it's exciting.
Yeah.
But the story is so dense. Mm-hmm. Dude, it's my God. You got to watch it.
Yeah,
and you would probably
it's Netflix, right?
Netflix, okay. and there's another level.
I gotta get an account. I haven't watched Netflix in probably 10 years.
There's another level of enjoyment you would get out of it because of that stuff.
Right.
Because it's literally Christians trying to take back control by creating new avenues that are not Christian. Right. So it's like literally that.
So it's like literally reality.
But the vampires are the people. The vampires, it's not actually vampires, right? Yeah. I mean, they are in the show.
Right.
But the vampires are a fucking metaphor for people breaking from the culture to create their own new culture, to take control.
Right. Which would be deemed as these evil beings.
Which would literally be the order.
It sounds brilliant, actually, because that is, right, that's the witch. The witch is the person that doesn't quite follow in line with your what's the word? I can't think.
Yeah, they're not
falling in line, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, conforming.
They're not conforming to the culture, to the society.
Yeah.
Dude, it's incredible. That show's so fucking good.
Yeah.
And it's so dense, but not like you have to learn 1,000 characters dense. It's dense in the ideas that are happening in the show.
Right.
Dude, it's really good. It's fucking excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. To go back on the pentagram thing though, it's funny how many people have given me a hard time because sometimes I wear V-necks, especially when work's hot, and I've been like, people at work have been like, "What is that? What are you, satanic?" And I go, "No, like I haven't sacrificed any children. I don't have an altar. I don't. No." They're like, "Well, why would you put that on your body?" And I go, "Where do you want me to start, dude? I don't know. Like, what do you?
You really want me to justify a tattoo I got 20 years ago?"
That's what I say. I'm like, I got it 20 years ago, first off, and 20 years ago I was an atheist and didn't even believe in what that represented to most people now.
Dude, what? Yeah. So I like
that there's a symbol that means 1,000 things. There's something cool about that.
Yeah.
It's something cool that, like, not only was it a mathematical thing, but it was a religious staple in Christianity and other cultures, and
But
it represented the elements in ancient China. Like, how cool is it that you have a symbol that means it's almost a unification of every culture? This is a unification of every fucking belief that we know about today. This right here, this is pure unification. It's like, well, you're a Satanist? I guess if that means I'm satanic, sure. So I made the joke that I got it as a drunken dare, and I don't know. I'm probably, I'm actually, pretty Christian. I was raised Christian, but I'm probably gonna burn.
You shouldn't put it on sale. You shouldn't put it on sale and be like, well, you should just be like, cause fuck you. That's why I got it.
No, yeah.
That's what you should be doing.
To
justify a choice to anybody.
No,
because it offends them.
Yeah.
Cause fuck you.
I've had superiors.
That's why.
Superiors.
Why do you have
set me down and talk to me?
Get fucked.
And I'm just like, really? And I'm like, look.
Why are we having a conversation? Did I not have this tattoo when you hired me? Why are we having a conversation?
Well, it doesn't matter. But by the way, it's just because they heard about it. That someone else saw it and they're like, hey, did you know that?
Now's the time. Whoever sat you down to talk to you about that, it's a fag. That's the time. Dude, no, that's so fucking stupid to justify a tattoo. It's not a swastika.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking...
Right. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You shouldn't have to justify...
The point of it is we were talking about religion.
A pentagram.
And I wanted to lead into that. And it has nothing to do with...
Do you align with my values? Do I come to work?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that are super... Like, I consider myself a Christian because I like there being a religion of peace. That's kind of cool.
I want to get into that, but I have to pee so bad.
Yeah.
Let me go pee real quick, and then we can talk about that. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about this because... Growing up, we were raised in Christian and Catholic churches.
Yes.
Our dad's side's Catholic, mom's side's all Christians.
Yeah.
And I think being Christian was really important to mom's side, especially with like the Arabic side of our family being Christian.
Yeah.
I think that was really driven into us because whatever. I think culturally it was more important to our family than like maybe a regular, like, been here for generations family. Maybe. I think I got the vibe of, like, this is more important to us than most people who are just, like, showing up because, like, out of, like, an obligation.
Yeah, I think it was, I would say so. It was pretty important. I mean, it wasn't talked about regularly. There was, like, grandma's, like, very, very, very religious and very... talks about it, and that's her life. That religion, Christianity is her life.
And it was also her husband, our grandpa's life.
Grandpa didn't
outside
talk much about it, but he was.
Yeah, but we were also children.
Yeah, that's true.
So we didn't have a lot of conversations about religion in general.
Till I was an atheist, and he used to call me the atheist. So that's the atheist.
Yeah,
like joking around.
Right.
He knew.
So so this is what I want. That's why I'm bringing up the way we were raised because you started pushing back against religion. You didn't want to go to church. Me and Christina went to church a lot longer than you did.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Well, I was total older.
You were older.
So timeline makes sense.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there was probably 5 or 6 years where Christina and I went to church and you didn't.
No, for sure.
And then as I got older, I had decided that I did not believe in God. I don't believe it. I understand the culture of it. I respect the culture of it. I understand, but I always looked at it kind of in a way of it being a crutch. And I felt like for me,
Mm-hmm.
for me personally, I want to drive my psychology in a way that's based on how I'm affecting people and how things are affecting me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people use it, use being religious as an excuse to be less understanding.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes.
and
It's very
so
understanding.
so that was a big turnoff for me.
Yeah.
But then also all of the socio-political reasons not to believe aside,
Yeah.
I just didn't believe.
Right.
I felt I was playing the part. I would put my hands up and sing, and I'm like, this is fucking, what am I doing? You know?
It's a little weird.
And
Even it's weird to me now. I don't
pray.
go to church
I
for
mean,
that
to
reason.
sit down and pray, it's like I'll like practice gratitude, but which I guess is a similar thing.
Yeah.
But to sit down and pray and be like, can you please do this thing I need? You know what I mean? Or like, please
Yeah.
give, you know, which.
It's
So I
not-
haven't been to
Yeah,
land my plane. I
yeah.
haven't been in any serious situations of desperation to be fully honest and vulnerable.
Yeah.
I've never like had a sick kid or like been sick myself. I've had problems with health,
Yeah.
but I've never been to the point where I was like begging, you know.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, I don't believe it. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in.
Yeah.
I understand religion and I respect religion. I respect what religion has done
Yeah.
in some senses, and I criticize what religion has done in other senses.
Yeah.
But I was surprised because it's not like we sat down and had a conversation like, oh, I'm a Christian again. It was like one day you said to me like, you know, I'm kind of circling back. I think I
Yeah.
do believe. And then I saw you comment on something and you were like, I am a Christian, but this, and then you like, you commented on something on Facebook and you said something about being a Christian man. And I was like, when did that happen? Because as far as I've known, since you were like 11 years old, you were an atheist.
Ooh, I'm curious what I commented on that I even would say that, because I don't really talk about it. Huh. Interesting. I'd have to think back.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
true.
It's just that was like
sparked
confirmation
interest.
that you were pushing back and changing your mind at 37 years old, 38
Yeah.
years old.
It started a couple years ago. I just didn't talk about it. When I got super fixated on physics, and that's kind of where my mind started to change, and which is ironic because most physicists are atheists. But the ones that aren't, and they're not Bible beaters by any. They're just like, hey, through this, I've kind of realized that there's some grand scheme, and it's weird.
I mean, there's definitely a stereotype
There's
of
an
science
intelligence. Well,
that where man can't explain, that's where God always comes in.
No, it's not even that. It's even worse than. It's even crazier than that. It has nothing to do with like the things they don't know. It's about the things they do know, and what they do know is that the entirety of the universe has intelligence, and that's what changed a lot of people's minds. Is that even like everything that's been coming out, even now, the modern physics and theoretical physics and mathematical physics, you know, all that stuff is saying a lot that, man, like there's a lot of stuff that the Hindus were talking about that's true. There's a lot of stuff that is said in the Bible that's not accurate in the sense of this is how it happened, but it's weird that it's written down. It's weird that it's written down, and it's not that these religions, one's better than the other or truer than the other. It's that these stories tell about a science that we are just now learning, and they didn't know how to describe it, and it's described in some sort of weird poetic, artistic way because they didn't know how to say it, and the things that they were saying and talking about are real life now. That's crazy to me. That's what changed my mind. And it's not because I needed validation. It's not that I had zero faith either, because I was always kind of the type to pray and kind of feel like, well, you know, I was an atheist.
You were always the type to pray. At 25, you were angrily against religion.
I wasn't angrily against religion, but spiritual. Like I still had a lot of spirituality. Like I still felt like I still prayed and still meditated and still, you know, put my thoughts out there. But I thought that a lot of that was just purely psychological, and it might be. It probably is. But there was a spiritual, and then there was a point where I got completely disconnected from spirituality entirely, and then I didn't believe in any of it. And I was just like, all right, man, like this doesn't. I don't know. I don't care anymore. I got shit to do. You know what I mean? To even ever think about any of this. Like it shouldn't have no bearing on my thoughts. And so it didn't for a long time. And then the more I got into science and physics and stuff like that, the more I was just like, God, it just kept ringing bells, man. And I'm like, I remember reading about this when I was like studying like, this, mysticism from, whatever, 1000 BC or whatever, when I was just reading about these other cultures that we have very little understanding of, and some of their stories and stuff that was written down, I'm like, God, this is crazy. It's like people knew about this shit. So what I've come to realize is that the entire universe, and even physics and mathematics and everything that we have come to know in reality, has been founded. It hasn't been created. It's been discovered. Mm-hmm. That to me, I don't know how. There's nothing more profound than that. There are philosophical debates with like, I'm gonna botch their names. I can't remember. Some high-end philosophers that write a lot of books. They're well known. I can't think of their names right now. It's fine. It's being a little put on the spot. Yeah. And they've debated. They have entire debates, multiple debates on this. Like, was mathematics discovered or whatever, or was the universe is physics discovered, or is it found, or is it created by mankind and stuff like that? And their debates are interesting, but they're cyclical, and it's like, all right, well, we didn't really get anywhere, but made me think about a lot of shit. Aside from remove the philosophy from it, and you just look purely at mathematics, and you look purely at physics. And theoretical physics if you remove the philosophy from theoretical physics, which you can do. I know, like, a lot of people think theoretical physics, they think purely like mathematical thinking people versions of philosophy, and that's not true. There is philosophical stuff in there, but if you remove all that and you just deal with the mathematics and where those mathematics could lead, all of it, dude, all of it is intelligent. It's a language. It's a pattern. Mathematics is a formula to delegate your reality. It is a language of your reality. And when you start hearing about or reading, the more mystical side of the Bible or any other religion, and they talk about the angels like teaching this guy the language of God and stuff, and then he was able to do fantastical things because he knew the language. We live in that world now. It doesn't have to be mystical. It doesn't have to be magical. It doesn't have to be spiritual. Like, in my opinion, there's unrefutable evidence that those things are true. Not because I'm trying to prove some sort of weird artistic philosophical manifestation or that's written down, right? A weird interpretation. It's not, remove the interpretation. Or no, that's not accurate. Not remove the interpretation, but just the idea. Boil it down to a basic idea, right? Make it less interesting. Remove it from the book. Write it down. Tell me, they might as well be Confucius quotes. They're so, all these stories and stuff, like they nail they hit it right on the head. All these religions do. All of them do. Aside from the crazy shit. There's some crazy shit, and they all have it. But you got to realize the time. You got to realize who it was written by, what was going on politically.
Yeah, there is things that we talk about that, like, why are you not allowed to eat swine?
Yeah, right.
And it's like, well, because of diseases that they didn't know how to name, and
because
things
because God, because the story is Jesus cast out demons from these people with leprosy or something into the swine, and they ran in the water. Well, then why do you eat fish? Because the demons live in the water, according to the Bible, right? I don't know. There's a lot of weird stories, but those stories are.
But they're meta. So
they're cool. This
is what I was going to say.
They're cool stories.
I've read the Bible cover to cover in several different stages of my life. As a kid and not understanding what the hell I'm reading. Yeah. As an older preteen, where I'm like starting to understand, like I'm looking at these things as literal stories. This is so dumb. Yeah. This is, you're in a fish. Right. Right. And then as a young adult who's like angry and like against religion. Yeah. And then as an older, like in my late 20s, being less angry and trying to understand why it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it kind of sparked that wanting to read it again. Yeah. As an older man, as a man in his late 20s at the time, was Jordan Peterson's book. Like I read 12 Rules to Life when he went super viral. He went from like the abyss to like one of the biggest personalities online.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. So I read 12 Rules to Life, and I thought it was an excellent book, and it's very interesting, his take on things. But religion is a theme that he circles back to, and being a Christian, like everything relates back to it. And I'm like, why is this man who's a scientist for 40 years, basically? I mean, psychology is kind of whatever. Say what you will about psychology, it's not a hard science, right? Why is this scientist so structured? Like, why is the structure of the foundation of his thinking is always relates back to his Christianity? Why is that? Because I feel like most academics teach some, like, they get to a point where they become atheists because they have reached some level of education.
Yeah.
Like, that was my ignorant thinking as a early, like a young 20, early 20s, man. And so I reread it, and I think I understood a lot more than I did. I definitely understood things a lot more and from a different perspective, instead of taking stories literally and going like, this is fucking just bullshit. This is just dumb. How could this, to stop looking at it through the filter of anger and control and wanting my own. I wanted autonomy. Yeah. And this thing is not giving me autonomy, so I am angry at it.
Yeah.
To circle back, and to double back and read the book again, and then go, okay, I understand why this is important to people, but I understand it in the sense of people who are in desperation. Yeah. So if I had nothing else, and I was desperate, I could understand wanting to dive into my religion and find peace in there. I understand that. I understand that wholeheartedly. I just can't believe it. I understand the stories, and the stories are elegant. And there's loopholes in the stories and whatever. There's stuff, there's plot holes in the story. There's things that are, there's things that contradict each other, and you could Google anything anymore and find contradictions in the book and be like, see, this is why it doesn't make sense.
Right, of course.
But you can do that with everything. No. But to
there's
reread
there's not many fantasy stories that don't have crazy loopholes.
Well, so and
stories.
So to go back and read these metaphors and go, okay, what was the purpose of this metaphor? The purpose of this metaphor is to be to keep purpose of this metaphor is to keep the father around for the kids, because keeping the father around for the kids is good for the kids. Mm-hmm. It's safer. There's more resources. Yeah. There's the children grow up more well-adjusted. There's things like that in there. Like, why would this story why did this book is a compilation of other books, and in those books they have created characters that are now in all of the books. And now as you read through these books, the characters continue on into new seasons of what they're doing. Like the story of Moses. Moses doesn't leave his house until 700 years old. 15-year-old Matt is like, this is fucking stupid. People die at 80. Yeah. Or is it saying, this is a warning of failure to launch?
Well, that's it.
And you need to suffer to get to a point where to find your purpose is to suffer. And in your suffering, you find the truest purpose, which is the most authentic self, which is being enlightened in itself, is to be the most authentic you that you could. That is the story of Moses. Yes. Right. But
can I just throw something in there? The ages, the numbers of the ages, you got to realize that this is written by Jews, right? And pre-Christian beliefs, or not Christian, I'm sorry, what is now known as the Jewish belief, right? The Old Testament, right? Mm. You had mysticism and numerology. Those are all, they still use that shit in the entire book. Every number you read in that book, it means it is so they could shorten the story. The age has nothing to do with his age. The age is entirely a numerological code that represents more of the story that they don't want to keep sharing, right? That's all it is. That 700 number, I don't know what it means in numeral. I don't remember. I used to read it. I used to know about it. I don't know it now. It doesn't matter to me
Yeah.
because I'm also not.
But that's what I'm
Jewish.
saying is like reading this book in different stages of my life. I have different perspectives, and
Right.
being a teenager reading
Yeah.
that like, well, this just can't be possible. It's a turnoff.
Yeah.
I don't care about what this point of the story is because it can't happen. So
Yeah.
now I don't care. Instead of reading the story and understanding that essentially Moses was failing to launch as a grown man, wasn't moving out, wasn't creating his own life, wasn't figuring out what he wanted to do with his time and with his life.
Yeah.
He was soaking up his parents' resources by living in his dad's tent until he's 700 years old. And then when he goes to suffer and he has to find his own way. I mean, the moral of the story is that
Every story and almost every single story in the Bible is someone who's taken life for granted in some ways.
Yeah.
Who goes through severe suffering to find God.
Yeah.
That's the human experience.
That's
what Jordan Peterson always talks about. The reason he always relates it to going back
Experience.
to it's about that is where psychology comes from.
Yeah.
Your fucked up psychology comes from you going through these struggles that you were not prepared for.
Yeah.
And so now why am I this way? Why does this scare me? Why does this make me mad? Why does this the whole point of the Bible, the entire Bible is riddled in psychology. The entire Bible is a psychological book.
Yeah.
Every story in it is a psychological experience.
So I as an atheist can now look at these stories in a veil that's not with resentment and anger, because I feel like a lot of things that were a lot of control that was imposed on us was based in that book, and it felt tainted because of it. Now that I'm older and I can look at it in a different light. I can look at these stories and go, I understand. I understand what the moral is, even though the moral's poetic.
Yeah,
I understand the moral now.
Yeah.
And
it's abstract, very abstract, a lot of it.
Yeah, and it makes it difficult to read, and I think that's why people study it, and especially people who, struggle.
Most people who study that shit don't even believe in it. That's how crazy the Bible is. That's how crazy the Old Testament specifically is.
I think so I don't mean professionally study it.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I'm saying people that study it out of desperation.
Yeah.
People that lose a kid. The worst thing, I think that's the pinnacle of like the grief that can happen is losing a child.
Right.
People that lose a kid, people that lose a parent.
Yeah.
Loss,
there's that whole story
struggle,
of
and addiction.
I don't remember which character it is, and forgive me because I'm not. I believe I have Christian values, but I don't remember shit. I got other things to think about around the regular. But there's that story of the man who's supposed to thinks he has to sacrifice his son to appease God, right? For whatever reason it was, and I can't remember. I don't know if it's Job. It might be Job. But there's a lot. His story is like a million things, right? His story is like 1,000 horrible, heinous. Like, why could God be this bad of a person? Which is honestly everybody that ever talks against Christianity, they use this as an example, and I'm always have the same. And I'm gonna just bring this up as an example. The point wasn't about killing your kid. The point is that killing your kid to maybe grow better crops, or for this to remove your leprosy or whatever. This is some weird psychological damaged kind of paganism that predates Christianity, and that was the whole point of that story. Everything in that Old Testament's about overcoming these pagan ideas of, well, my crops didn't grow this year, so I probably have to kill my kid now. Like, that was a normal way of thinking back then, 2,000, 3,000 years ago. Seriously, it was. We as humans had developed these weird ideas in order and then if it works once, it works.
The human brain is so flawed in correlation, using correlation as causation.
Yes.
I mean, there is so many. I mean, just a regular.
Ironically, the entire Bible is about removing superstition.
Yeah.
The entire Bible is about removing that craziness that's in there.
Yeah.
Every story is that. Every story. Every single story is like, hey, dude, this is crazy. And so, like, the reason he feels like, oh, I have to do this, and people think that the story is, oh, he was being, he was just going to follow God's orders, right? And God wanted him to do this. the only reason it was even interpreted in that way is because the whole purpose of that story was to show this isn't the same God. You're wrong. That's not the end result. Was me showing you glory, was me showing the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, it's not, these struggles don't have to lead to this craziness. That is the story. The story isn't murder your child because I said so.
Yeah.
That is not the freaking story, dude. And mind you, the Old Testament's very dark and there's a lot of like crazy stuff in there. And there's a lot of stuff that you can read, like one chapter in John and read the next chapter, and they completely conflict each other. I don't know what was going on politically when that book was put together, when it was written, when it was, there, I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Yeah, there's a lot of contradictory stuff, but man, that's not the point. I think that's where people get kind of deluded. Oh, I wanted to, are you done with your thought on that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's a couple, this is also leading to like any kind of religion and life in general. This isn't an episode about religion, really. It's about reality. And so like and religion is a part of a majority of people's reality. And the people that it's not a part of their reality is functioning in the same way. And I want to explain why. You have 3 different types of realities that the human brain can process. And the first reality is the interpreted reality. You take something, you develop your own poetic version of that, and that somehow connects these neurons to remember and feel some type of way, and you just, whatever. You have the delusion version of reality, where you already have a premeditated idea of something, you take in information, well, now you have to fit that to your own way of thinking and your own whatever. That is delusion. That is delusion. And then you have empirical evidence of reality. Now, empirical evidence of reality is you have all of this information, and you take that information to formulate what the reality that we can best guess is the real version of it. The problem with all 3 of those is that no matter how much evidence you have, no matter how you interpret something, and no matter what kind of stationary predeposition, something, I don't know, whatever you've already put in place in order to interpret that, right, which can lead to some delusions. No matter if you have all of the scientific evidence in front of you and you lay it out, right, and we still don't know what that means. We don't know what reality is. We're using everything we see is a manifestation of the brain. Everything we hear is a manifestation of the brain. Everything we think clearly is the manifestation of our synaptic connections. However, those can, and the brain is very abstract, so all those connections are abstract. We don't know reality.
Yeah.
Physicists,
this is to tie it back into religion, this is the 3 faces.
Yeah.
The 3 selves.
Yeah. That's a trinity. It's a trinity. You have the Holy Spirit, which is like the most interpreted version of power. You have the Son, who was the empirical evidence of power. And then you have I said the Holy Spirit, didn't I? Mm-hmm. So the Father, right? The Father would be
the authority.
The authority, but it's also a delusion because the Father created.
All authority is a delusion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not saying God is a delusion. Don't misinterpret that. What I mean is that your Father instills discipline into you to create the man that you are or woman that you are, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Historically. Yeah. Times have changed, but
whatever.
Historically.
The authority figure,
masculine figure, right? This is also why, people get so upset about, these Abrahamic religions that God is always the Father, right? Well, it's because of the story. Yeah. It has nothing to do with,
that's not even worth.
I know. Yeah. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying is that the Trinity is these versions of reality. You have the interpreted, you have the delusion, which is like, I am this person, so this must mean this in my world. Mm-hmm. And then you have the empirical evidence of it, which is like, this is it in manifestation. This is happening right now. And all 3 of those realities are not really given. Those are just, no matter what, it's still kind of an interpretation, right? No matter how you look at it. You can, 2 + 2 = 4, right? Oh, that, well, I can show you a million different formulas that show that. But it's also just our brains connecting those dots. So We don't know reality.
That's a theme. That's a theme of what we talk about all the time. Is this situation is filtered through the filter of that person, and we struggle with that because it's like, how